Hi everyone. Over the course of the next few days here, I'm going to show you how to properly cut in a window into an existing wall and finish it all up as if it was put in the building originally. So this is the stained glass window I built, if you saw my previous video on building that. So I took the measurements of the thickness to make the jamb, and that will fit in the wall nicely. So the first thing I'm going to do in the process to frame an opening is remove the siding from the back of the building. Siding's off, so I'm gonna take off the house wrap and get to the sheathing. Now with the sheathing exposed, I can go with my cat's paw and pull all the nails. It just so happens that the sheet is kind of in the perfect spot for this. I'm not gonna have to cut anything. I'll just pull one sheet and it'll pretty much be right in the spot that I need. So apparently I forgot to turn the camera on when I was pulling all the nails, so I didn't get a time lapse of that. But the sheet's ready to come down, so I'll take it off. And that's basically what the inside of the wall looks like. So now we can get a better look at the framing. The window is gonna sit between this stud and this stud, I think. So I'll only have to cut this one and put a header in. So moving inside, I've got the rough opening pretty much marked out where I think I want it to be. I moved it down about 4 inches from where I originally had it, but the finished sill, or the skirt technically, would sit about 50 inches off the landing, so I think that should be comfortable. And it might be a little low, like for height wise, but it's not really a window for looking out of. It's all frosted glass, so it'll just be a light source. Now that I have this ready, I'm just gonna drill in the corners just so I can see this from the outside. And then I'll be able to mark out where to do the framing from the outside. Now that I have those holes drilled, I can see exactly what's going on. So it looks like I'll actually be cutting 2 studs out, and I'm just gonna frame a trimmer to each of these studs and then a header straight across, and then just fill in there with 2x4s to create the rough opening. Now I've determined the measurement of 63 5/8 for the cripples to support the rough windowsill. So I'm going to cut those. Now I'm gonna go fasten those to the sides of each of the nearest studs. will be able to nail these on the inside because I didn't finish under the stairs. I think I might be hitting a siding nail. I'm just gonna go check that inside. Now to nail these at the bottom, I just crawled underneath the stairs because I've still got it open under here, which was a smart idea now that I think about it. Couple in there, and then if I can crawl all the way back here, now I'm gonna cut these two studs at the same height as the cripples I just put on. Okay, now I'll make marks on the top and cut them right out. So that's basically where the window opening is gonna be. I've got my rough sill cut, so I'll throw that in right away. Now I will cut the other cripples to make a trimmer to hold the header in place. Now to build my header assembly, I take two pieces of preferably 1/2" OSB or plywood, but I'm using 3/8, but that'll that'll work just fine. So I put them in here like that, and then take my other 2x4, flush it up on the ends, and then nail it. Out of nails. Now I'm just gonna take the header assembly and just toenail it up into those other studs. Now you can see where I have these holes drilled. That's the actual rough opening of the window. So I'm gonna cut 2x4s and put them right along where that's gotta go. I got these cripples cut and I will put them in. Okay, so that's the final window opening. So I'm gonna go inside and cut it out with the router. Okay, so here goes the router. No going back from this point. there's the opening. Now I'm gonna throw this sheet back up and drop bit it out. Okay, now I'll use the drop bit router to open this up. Now I can just nail it up around the window, and the window will be ready to install. Other nails again. So now I'm ready to put the window in. And I'm gonna go and take these trim pieces off and just put the frame in first and get it all squared up. So I've got my dad Dan here helping me put the window in today.
Hey everybody.
So we'll just make sure it fits. How's it on the inside? Pretty good. Yeah, I'll just have to kind of square it that way. Okay, just hold it on the nails.
So you just so inside, I guess like it's almost finished with the.
Yeah, that's nice.
Okay. centered this way. So. Ow! It's little, yeah. I guess when you pound
Yeah,
it.
I'll pound it square. I have to just pry this out.
Yeah, it can go actually. I guess it can go the other way, but I guess it doesn't.
No, I'll just square this top up.
Yeah, that is really gonna brighten this up.
Just need something just like this.
Good? Got it?
Yeah, that should be good.
I'm gonna head back to the fire.
Okay. Okay, now I'm gonna check the frame for square and just kind of pound it whichever way it needs to go until I have it square. Okay, that's nice right there. So I'll grab one of the trim pieces. Dad, can you come back and center the window so the stain doesn't show through where it isn't stained? Just so, well, just so you can't see any bare wood through. Like, does,
Yeah, no, you're good.
looks good there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good. Get over here. One piece has kind of come loose here, but it's still.
Yeah, I can redo that. She's over there yelling at a dog. Yeah, she's freaking out. Yeah, that should be good. Okay, so now I will just put the casing on the outside, and that is pretty much good. I can start to reside. I'm going to put the house wrap back up and cut around the window. So with this, I'm going to start in the center and work my way out so I don't get any wrinkles. Now I can put the casing on. Now for the casing, I'm just going to be using 8-penny nails, just 2.5 inch. I'll get a measurement for my top piece, which will be 39 inches. Perfectly square. Top piece is cut. There. Now that is ready for paint. Now that it's starting to get darker out, you can see the light coming through. That'll look pretty nice from the back alley. From the back alley, it's kind of hard to tell on video, but it looks pretty nice. So working on the inside now, I'm just gonna staple the panel to the new framing. For draft proofing of this window, I'm just going to take newspaper and stuff it in there like that. That'll kind of stop the air from drifting through. I know this is a really primitive technique, but it's the way they used to do it, and I'm trying to use as many traditional techniques as possible. So now I'm going to begin casing the window. So the first thing I do when I case one of these is make the 3.5 mark for the sides of my casing where they're going to go, which is right there and right there. Now with that, I can measure what length my windowsill is going to be at. I cut this long just so I know I'd have enough. So the windowsill is going to be 37 7/8 inches. So I will go cut that and do that. Okay, so the sill, or the skirt, I should say, is cut. So I'm going to line it up with my marks on the wall and then make a mark where I need to notch it. So those right there are going to be my notches, and then I'll have little 1/2-inch squares to notch. So now I'm going to use the jigsaw to notch this out. Now I notched this out so it fits in there, but there's a slight crown, well actually a pretty big crown for this length of board. Should have picked a different one, but I'm just going to scribe this. I probably don't need to go that much. If I scribe like that. It'll take me right down to 0. That's nice. So I will cut that with the jigsaw, and then that should fit up against there perfectly. See how that fits. I think that is good enough for me, a lot better than it was. Now I've got the sides of the casing cut, so I'm going to put those on just before I nail the sill. So now I've got the casing pretty much done. I just have to do the little crown molding up top with the quarter round, and then I'll be ready to stain. So now while I let that stain dry, there's actually a couple garage sales in town today that I'm gonna go check out. So I'm just on my way to these sales here. Apparently one of these is an estate sale, so I'm thinking there's gonna be some good stuff. We'll see. So this is the town-wide sale. Let's go in and check it out. So here's a few neat things I found. Some little display boxes of nautical items and all sorts of stuff. Electric typewriter here. I don't know if I should add that to my collection or not. Probably not. Found some old luggage for free. I'll pass that up. So there was a couple ice boxes there, and I guess I was just a couple seconds too late because some lady claimed them as soon as I walked up to them, so I'm a little pissed about that, but whatever. Not a terrible day. I got 3 little shadow box displays there for 20 bucks and then a suitcase for free. Here's something kind of neat. A hat with a whole bunch of pins on it for only $2. Some rails and styles out the window. Those are pretty much firewood. Hedge trimmer. Toboggan, that's kind of neat. Not much here. Let's go to the next one. Okay, this is the estate sale. Let's go in and check it out. Now, I found something I absolutely need to buy. This is a Stanley Handyman number 614 bar. These are really hard to find. My boss actually has one just like this, so, and I've always wanted one, so finally found one, so I'm gonna just kind of a neat little toolbox. All sorts of stickers on. Now here's something I'm gonna have to buy. An old Black & Decker sander. There's a little propane heater. Here's a really neat creation. It's a fire pit on a wash machine drum on a lawnmower. Lots of other interesting things here. So that garage sale was pretty decent. Got some paintbrushes, sandpaper, that bar, and a sander. Another thing I found as I was coming back from the garage sale was some free windows sitting on the side of the road. Now I'm gonna start siding this, and I'm gonna start by putting the J channel around the window. So to do the J, I measure my first piece an inch longer on each side. I measure all my pieces an inch longer on each side. And then I'm just gonna cut a 45-degree angle. Well, first I'm gonna snip those and fold those up so the siding can go in. And then I'll snip that angle and put that on there like that. So when you do the corner, that's basically what you get. And then the top piece will go on the same way. So now for putting the actual siding up, this is all pre-cut from when I took it off, so it's going to be fairly easy. Put it into place. Center it. Take your nail. Don't pound it in right tight. Just leave it out a little bit. Just like that. That's basically the process for vinyl siding. So for the final piece, my method of doing this, I know there's special tools that create little tabs that hook into the J, but I just take screws, mark where they need to go, and then the head of the screw will be what hooks into the J, and that'll never fall down. So that's pretty much it for the window install. I think it went in all right, framed up nice, and it looks like it was put in originally with the building, so I have no complaints about that. The only thing I'm not really happy with is these light and dark spots on the glass where the paint slumped a bit, but I don't know, I think that'll just kind of add some character to the window and kind of obscure the glass a little more. You don't notice it from the outside, but I mean, the old stained glass always had some imperfections, and this window was made to be ostensibly 100 years old, so I think it'll be okay. So if you liked this video, I'll have more cool projects like this coming up, so stay tuned.